Didn't have the microphone up. Glad I saw it. Hence the necessity of these from time to time, right? Let's start over. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Thursday edition of Morning Scone, presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Parrish Construction and Roofing. You need an orthopedist, go to Brock. Need a roof, call Parrish. Of course, Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com. Give a shout out to Crystal Poche and the gang over at Restored Motions. If you're in pain, excuse me. Whew, boy, I did not get up and go work out this morning. Got myself an extra hour of sleep today, and it shows. The early workout clears brain fog. It makes you breathe. You just have oxygen and blood rushing through your body, and I am feeling it today. Like, it's just so evident. Mic down, words not firing. Yeah. Apparently, oxygen to your brain in a workout and blood flow actually does improve performance in all phases of life. Anyway, all right, let's get going, y'all. Glad to have you aboard with us here. It is an all CWS finals with Tennessee and Texas A&M. I just said it's an all CWS finals. What is wrong with my brain right now? It is an all SEC CWS final for the third time since 2021, when, of course, so third time in 4 years, when Mississippi State and Vanderbilt was an all SEC final. Of course, then Ole Miss won the College World Series. Then, of course, last year LSU, Florida, and now Tennessee, Texas A&M. So 3 of the last 4 years, an all SEC final at the College World Series. I think, like, the only thing I care about is both teams losing. Like, could they just cancel the College World Series at this point and neither team win? I think if you're an LSU fan, the question is, all right, who are you pulling for? And this is what's important to remember. I am not a cheer for the conference guy. Never have been. I don't want other teams in the league to do well. I want LSU to do well. So I only want things to happen in the conference around sports that positively affect LSU. So any of the ACC teams that were in Omaha would have been a better option than any of the SEC teams. Now, we'll remind you, Mississippi State had never won a national championship in anything. And they won the College World Series a couple of years ago. They finally broke through and got that done. And they have proceeded to miss postseason the following year, and like 2 years, right? Finally got back to the postseason this year under Chris Lemonis, but it hasn't necessarily positively affected their program. Same for Ole Miss. Like Ole Miss in their history, won a football championship in 1960 that they shared. The golf team won the 2021 national championship, and baseball won it in 2020. That's it in the history of their athletic department. And so baseball at Ole Miss winning a championship hasn't necessarily helped them, because the last 2 years they've missed postseason altogether. So I look at it with Tennessee and Texas A&M, and it feels a little bit different because those two teams have the resources in place, I think. So does Mississippi State, but Tennessee and Texas A&M financially have resources in place that would stand to reason would allow them to continue having success. It comes down to me, do you want to hold something over A&M's head for just them never winning anything in anything, or do you want to keep Tony Vitello and Tennessee from winning a championship? And for me, I would compare A&M more to Ole Miss and Mississippi State, where we forever and ever we had that, we could hold that over their head that they had never won. And they finally break through and get it done, but it hasn't exactly like changed things dramatically, right? Yeah, they get to put a banner on their outfield wall and something they can recruit to, but look at what's happened since. So the other thing I'll tell you that could be interesting, and just file this away. Remember a few weeks back we talked about Texas, and they're looking for a head coach, and the scuttle that I had heard was that they had made four calls, because they weren't just going to fire David Pierce. They were going to do a hire simultaneously. They were going to fire David Pierce and go through a whole public search. They did that last time. It didn't go so well. And so they called and asked about inquired with Tony Vitello and Jim Schlossnagle, Eric Bakich, and Jay Johnson, and all politely and respectfully declined. And they'd moved on to Mark Wazikowski at Oregon. Well, if you remember what happened with Oregon, their super regional, they wet the bed. And I think that probably cost Wazikowski the opportunity to get the Texas job, as I understand it. And so it would stand to reason that if Texas is still going to make a change, what it feels like they are, then they're looking at Vitello or Schlossnagle. And those are the two coaches that are coaching in the CWS finals. So I might even present it to say, could the loser of this CWS championship series end up going to Texas? And if so, who would you rather lose their coach? Just something to file away. I'm not saying definitively that's going to happen, but just something to file away as it moves along. All right, we'll say some good mornings here. A couple other things. LSU lands a power bat in the portal. I got my notes here. So Eddie Yaman is his name, from Dayton. Interesting story. Was a catcher, grew to be 6'5". Can't catch when you're 6'5". And developed his power stroke. So went from a 178 hitter as a freshman to hitting 342 this past year as a sophomore with 13 bombs. So pretty clear. Jay Johnson is preparing for what feels like an inevitability of Jared Jones leaving, being drafted and signing. So, you signed Luis Hernandez already. Now you've got Eddie Yaman, Trevor Schmidt, another guy we talked about, another power hitter who can sort of platoon around the infield. So you're replacing a lot of power off of this year's team, and Jay Johnson's going to get power in the portal. And lastly, MJ Seo entered the portal. Seo is interesting, man. He's kind of a YouTube sensation out of California, and there was a lot of disagreement as to whether or not he'd ever be able to pitch at LSU. And they never wanted him as a shortstop, as I understand it. And so he'll enter the portal, or he's entered the portal, coming the 13th LSU player to hit the portal. So, all right, y'all. Let's say some good morning, see what y'all got. You know the drill. YouTube, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like or follow my profile if you would. For years and years, we've broadcast live on the Facebook page, the professional page. Now I'm broadcasting from the profile. You could follow my profile, and the picture is me and Erica in New York if you're looking for. So please just follow that profile. That'd be super helpful. Okay. Abner Neal, good morning. Trivia, what's good? Easy answer, neither. Ricky Lambert, Brian Penton from LaPorte, Indiana. Okay. Got it. Yeah. I screwed up first few seconds, had the mic down, did it again. Let's see, Jesse Brown, morning, Matt. Who do you like winning the College World Series, Tennessee or Texas A&M? Well, Tennessee is a pretty heavy favorite. They're minus 270. Let me see. I just looked at it a bit ago. It's I guess some money's coming on A&M. So Tennessee is minus 154. And Texas A&M is plus 120. If A&M had Shane Sadeo, who's their number 2 starter, who was injured and shut down for the year, and Braden Montgomery, who's their center fielder and best player, Um, then I would like A&M because I think A&M's pitching would be deeper. Um, but I think Tennessee, might be set up better to win game one. Um, I'll wait and see what the pitching matchups are whenever they announce, and I'll have a much better sense. But I don't think A&M is coming back to win games 2 and 3. If they had their full rotation, if Texas A&M had their full rotation, I'd feel better about them taking two. I like Ryan Prager. If he goes game one and A&M wins game one, I think they have an awesome shot to win it. If Prager goes game one and they lose, I think they have no shot. But if Prager gets you game one, Lampkin can get you a game depending on the matchups and how they go. Two really good offenses, but it might just feel like it's Tennessee's time, but we'll see. Juan, good morning. Greetings from Denver, Sunshine State. Old school reference. Oh, yeah. I was trying to place where in the movie. So that's when Luke Wilson was talking at the wedding and he was drunk. He's like, Denver, the Sunshine State. Denver, beautiful. Just before he spills his coffee all over it. Jeremy, good morning. Kelly Gross, good morning. Brian, thoughts on the new transfer from Dayton? Yeah, man. So a really interesting story. Again, as I mentioned, 6'5", grew this last year and went from a 178 hitter to a 342 hitter with 13 bombs. He's not going to catch for LSU, not at 6'5". Played first base in all 53 starts this past year at Dayton. And I was told yesterday that there's a chance he could play some third base. So he's first base, third base for LSU next year, but primarily first base, like first base DH. So, ultimately, and I looked at these numbers yesterday. So if you already heard this, forgive me, but I'll share it again for those who might have missed it. So LSU's top 5 home run hitters this season: Jared Jones with 28, Tommy White with 24, Travinsky with 16, Neal with 9, Bingham with 8. What do all 5 of those guys have in common? They're all going to be gone. Jones, White, Travinsky, Neal, Bingham. Your top 5 home run hitters, all gone. Your 5 returning home run hitters: Milam, Pearson, Braswell, Brown, Larson. That's assuming Braswell returns, which he may not. But if he does, Milam, Pearson, Braswell, Brown, Larson combined to hit 27 homers. Those 5, your top 5 returning, combined to hit 1 fewer home run than Jared Jones did this past year. It is just very clear. Jay Johnson needs desperately big power bats in his lineup because he lost them all. So that's why you add Luis Hernandez, who had 23 homers at Indiana State, where I don't know if you know this, but it's cold in Indiana. The ball doesn't exactly jump and fly like it does in Baton Rouge. And he had 23 at Indiana State. Eddie Yaman, 13 at Dayton. That's in Ohio. Kind of cold up there. Trevor Schmidt hit 13 at Fullerton College this past year. So, and I don't think they're done either. And maybe guys like Brown and Larson and Milam can all become double-digit homer guys next year, which would be awesome. I don't know if you have someone that hits 30 on your team next year, 28 like Jones did, but could you have a handful of guys that all hit 15? Maybe. And that might be your best path this year. Let's see. Gary, good morning. Cajun Country, as a Tiger fan, I guess pull for the SEC East. Those 8-4 fans will be unbearable if they win. We'll be hearing about it for the next 50 years. I don't know, man. I think we thought about that. We thought the same thing with A&M or with Ole Miss and Mississippi State, and it's like congrats to them, great season, but can you sustain it? And I think that's the hardest thing in sports today is not only just winning but sustaining, as you're seeing. I mean, LSU won a title and almost missed postseason. Needed to sweep the final weekend and make a little run in Hoover. Sustaining it is hard. So, Tiger Diver, Matt. Good morning, Matt. Like my buddy Tommy says at the post office, I'm ready to be mismanaged. Brian, I hate to say it, I'd rather A&M win than Tennessee. Can't stand Tennessee. Can't stand A&M either. I'd rather see A&M win. I don't know that A&M, like A&M's, their idiosyncrasies are weird and annoying. Like, the yell leaders dressed up like milkmen and all the weird chants and then the bubbles and all that, like all that stuff is weird. But A&M people are very nice. Like they're very nice people. Tony Vitello is a jerk. Like he's a jerk. The whole culture around the Tennessee program, they're a-holes. Like, I think I'd rather see A&M win it. I mean, I'm very secure in where, like in football, Tennessee has had great success throughout their history. General Neyland won a handful of national titles. I mean, they won a football national title in '98. Not the too distant past. So it's like if Tennessee won another one in football, it's like, okay, well, they've been there. Like that'd be easy. Baseball, I can be like, I'm very secure with where LSU is in the pecking order on the hierarchy of college baseball. It stinks in an NIL era that your pedigree and coach and recruiting and fans and facility like that isn't enough anymore because some guys are just willing to be bought. That's what happened with Braden Montgomery this year. Now he went to a great situation. A&M was a great situation, but they also paid him $750K. So, that may happen with Gavin Killen as well, the shortstop from Louisville. So that part of it stinks. But LSU's still going to get there. So, I don't worry about that, especially with Jay Johnson as coach. Jason could have listened to an hour of Kyler McDaniel. Main takeaways: Bear Jones still in play. Boston Bateman not out of the question. William Schmidt rumors. Yeah, so we had Kyler. So Kyler McDaniel put out his mock draft 2.0 yesterday. Kyler McDaniel from ESPN. And he had Tommy White going 30. Gage Jump 62, Luke Holman 66 overall. Of the four high school signees that you're sweating, he said Connor Griffin and Cam Caminiti, no chance. He's got Connor Griffin going 10th overall, Caminiti going 11th overall. The two pitchers, William Schmidt, he's got 36 to Cleveland. Said the rumors on Schmidt's number is $3 million. If he goes 36, slot value there is 2.5, but kind of feels like someone would pay him that $3 million. The question is, will LSU put together some type of package NIL over 3 years, to get him paid and get him to campus and maybe still get that money? So we'll see. And then Boston Bateman, he had it number 52 to the Padres and said that's kind of like a coin flip deal where it really just comes down to when a team is picking, do they like Bateman or another guy when they make their decision on how it goes. But there's a chance. Yeah, he kind of his thing was like, there's probably a chance maybe you pop one out of those four. So maybe it's Boston Bateman, maybe it's William Schmidt. We'll see how it goes. Hey, Rex, good morning. Chance Babbitt, Matt, who would you say have been your most influential mentors? Do you enjoy mentoring? Good question, Chance. I mean, for me, the person I learned the most from was Ed Bugs. And a lot of people don't know that I did news for 4 or 5 years before I ever started doing sports. And I produced Ed Bugs' show from 2003 to 2006. So those 4 years, 2003, 4, 5, and 6. It was like May of 03 to like May of 06. Actually, it might have been after May of 06. It might have been even a little longer than that. But Ed was a super talent, and anyone that you spend any time around Baton Rouge and media will remember Ed. Uh, it was a TV guy for a long time and thrived in talk radio. And I mean, just sitting in the room, producing a show, listening to 4 hours of him every day, I learned so much. There's still so much I do today that are learned from him. I mean, like a lot of the things that I say, transitions, the way I set things up, structure things are Ed. Like if you put on a tape of one of Ed's shows from 2003, you'd hear a lot of me now. Just because I learned a lot of that. So I would say Ed would be the one who really ingrained a lot of habits and practices and style in me. The but so much of, especially since I've been at Guarantee, like I've never had consultants, never had people listen to my shows and give me feedback or advice. And for a long time, I was the only person on air. It was the only show. So I don't know that I would say so much mentors as I would, friends, champions, sort of people who um, um, go to bat for you. And I mean, I have great friends in the industry. Like Richard Condon has been a friend for 21 years now. I mean, I met Richard my first day in radio back in May of 2003, and Richard's one of my best friends in the world. Like he's literally, I'll tell you, Richard has literally asked me, this is not a joke, he's asked me to eulogize him. Like his family knows whenever he dies that I'm doing the eulogy. I mean, Gordy has been awesome to me. Gordy Rush has been awesome to me. I mean, he gave me the opportunity at Guarantee and has given me just a ton of autonomy over the years to and just trust, just to say, what you're doing, just do it. Whatever, just support. That's great from a manager. Like whenever you're not looking over your shoulder, wondering if your manager is going to call you into the office and call you to the carpet or whatever, like that you have support. Because a lot of people complain. There's people that complain about whiskey and wine. There's people who complain about my show, and just you're always going to get it. So you have to, as a manager, when you're managing big personalities, you have to realize there's going to be pushback. I mean, that's helped me tremendously now that I'm program director and knowing how to manage our staff, because there are people that don't like things about all of our shows, but you just have to not ignore the negative feedback, but understand like that's going to come, and you look at the big picture. So I don't know. It's a good question. You can tell I like talking about that kind of stuff. So thanks, Chance. I appreciate the question though, man, very much. Lance, morning, Matt. Do both teams lose and we not award a champion this year? You want another global pandemic? That's the only way I could see it happen. Jeremy's not Tennessee. Brad, do you think a defensive player will ever win the Heisman again? I do not. Lowell, good morning. Irfan Sayad, Morgan. Gabriella, we can't give Tennessee the power. I'm kind of with you on that. I think I'd rather see A&M win it. Brian Wynn, good morning. Like A&M, again, I would not want A&M to win it in football because they've never won it in football, and that's a bigger deal. You have that over their head. In baseball, LSU has such an established presence in baseball. It's like think of it this way, like I'm trying to think. So like in college football, a comp would be, all right, Alabama won 6 titles under Nick Saban, right? And they've got all these titles. Well, Michigan winning this year, and Michigan's a bad example because Michigan's won in the past, but it's been a long time since Michigan won in '97. But I don't think Alabama's sweating that Michigan won a title. Anyway. Stat dub down with Tony. I can deal with a commemorative cup. I kind of feel the same way. Like A&M people are nice. Like they're weird. All their traditions and stuff are weird, but they're nice people. Like I don't have a problem. Like I've never, like you go to College Station, if you've ever been, like people are nice. They're genuinely nice and welcoming and warm. It's the whole howdy, culture there at Texas A&M. So Tony Vitello is not a good person. Like I don't like him and their program, and I don't want good things for them. I can deal, like, same way to say it. I can deal with a commemorative cup. Dustin, I've understood that you got to root. I've never understood got to root for the SEC. I totally agree. I'll never root for the SEC. Brent, more Matt, CWS finals remind me of the Super Bowl 51 when I wanted the Patriots and Falcons to both lose. Well, see, Brent, that was easy for me. I mean, as much as I love the Saints, I equally hate the Falcons, or just maybe a smidge below. I don't hate the Patriots. I have no love lost for the Patriots. It's annoying they've won so much, and it makes everyone sort of envious because they were able to have so much success and win so much. But I hate the Falcons. That was an easy one. They haven't won a championship in a men's sport since 1939. That's bad, even if they do win. Brian Wynn planned to watch last year's CWS Championship Series on YouTube instead of watching A&M Tennessee. Again, you don't have to watch it. But if you're just looking for what's the best outcome from an LSU perspective, like I'm not going to sit here and break down Tennessee and Texas A&M because I don't think anybody genuinely cares in our audience. It's more just, cover your eyes, hope for whatever the best result is for LSU. Chandler Watts, have to cheer for Tennessee. We don't need A&M pulling a 2022 Hunt Palmer whoop. Charlie, what's up? Bubba Smith. Hey, Dane, good morning, man. Darren, good morning. To answer your question, definitely pulling for Tennessee to lose. Hopefully Vitello to Texas. Darren, the thing is, if Vitello goes to Texas, then and by the way, whoever wins, I don't think their coach is leaving after winning a national championship, to be clear. Now Jim Harbaugh just won a national championship and left Michigan, but he left for the NFL. It's very different if, like, let's say Tennessee wins and then Vitello went to Major League Baseball, which of course he's not going to do. But you're not leaving. You don't win a national championship and then leave for another job in your own league. So I think the more interesting thing would be whichever coach loses this championship series, does the loser jump ship and go to Texas? That would be interesting. Caleb, good morning, Matt. Saw your Locked On LSU update about Zach Root. Hopefully Jake can talk him into the purple and gold. Yeah, man. So Zach Root, I was told yesterday, did not. Someone asked, and I didn't find out after the weekend, but I did yesterday. Zach Root did not visit this weekend. They're still planning on having him visit. Remember, you got a long time. It's not. There's no urgency here unless if someone wanted to be enrolled in classes in July. But it's really just to be enrolled for the fall semester. Actually, you wouldn't even really need to be enrolled until spring. But anyway, so I mean, fall if you want to go through fall ball, right? But there's no urgency right now. I know we all want to know, but maybe the two biggest competitors for LSU for all these players are playing in the College World Series final, which stinks because they get that stage. But but it's true. Like, I mean, Gavin Killen, the shortstop from Louisville, he visited Tennessee during their regional weekend. He's visited Vanderbilt, he's visited LSU, and he wants to visit A&M. So, he could be going to A&M next week while they celebrate a national championship. That would stink. Jacob Schultz, Barry Jocelyn, good morning. Mark, Phil Anselmo of Pantera is doing a charity concert tomorrow in Baton Rouge, the Varsity. Okay, wildfires in New Mexico. That's cool. Very cool. Club Ruckus, good morning. Weston Weaver, whoop. Solar Flares, what's going on? Y'all please smash the like button if you would on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Facebook, please follow the Matt Moscona profile if you would. If you're catching us on the profile, at the page on the profile, you can always like the page. I would love that. But go to the profile, follow the profile. That's where we'll be streaming live here on Facebook. Appreciate that greatly. Solar Flares, good morning. Mark, will the Saints re-sign Jimmy Graham now that Juwan Johnson's out for 4 months? Mark, if they do, I think it's just they'll sign him at or at the end of training camp. It's one of those things where, yes, you're installing a new offense, but Jimmy Graham's not going to be a full-time tight end. He'd be a red zone threat, not that dissimilar from Juwan Johnson. And a guy who's been as veteran as he has, you trust he'll keep himself in shape. I mean, he's practicing for that row across the Arctic Ocean next summer. So, we'll see. I don't think that's a primary option for this team, but it is an option if you get into training camp and you don't feel like you have good options at tight end. Dane, Matt, I saw the post on Facebook on the travel packages for Vegas. Not getting on a flight with T-Bob. I'm not that brave. I've flown with T-Bob too many times, man. Yeah, so Mr. Fun's Travel, so our buddy Jason Ramazan, who, formerly the Alumni Association, when he left the Alumni Association, he continued organizing trips. His company is Mr. Fun's Travel. And so Alumni was all booked up. So we are traveling, me, Hester, T-Bob, and our engineer, Bo Wegman. E-Rock is coming as well. We're flying with Mr. Fun's. So the package, and they have partial packages as well. So no flights are a disaster for those trying to go to Vegas for the LSU USC game. You could just book the private charter. So it's leaving Thursday evening, direct from Baton Rouge to Vegas, and then coming back on Monday, direct from Vegas to Baton Rouge. So that's the way to go, man. If y'all have never done those trips, and they have a la carte packages where you can just do the flight. You can do the flight in the hotel. You can just do the flight and the game ticket if you want to get your own hotel. There's different packages that you could buy, but I know the flights is the main thing. And the other thing, too, is Friday at the airport is going to be a disaster with all the people trying to get out for the holiday and get out to Vegas and everything. Friday's going to be a disaster. So you fly Thursday evening when it's calm. And, you get to Vegas. When you wake up on Friday, you're having breakfast in Las Vegas while everybody else is going through a hell of a travel day. So, but Hester and T-Bob and I and E-Rock will all be on that flight. So, the link for Mr. Funds, I'll put it. Hang on, let me just drop it in the chat here real quick if anyone's interested. Or if you know anyone that is looking to fly. Again, it's a charter trip. The great thing about these trips, if you've never been on them, and they're expensive. It's a premium deal, but shoot, any trip to Vegas, especially with the way flights are now, is going to be expensive. But you show up at the Baton Rouge airport, you have your own check-in, you walk directly onto the tarmac onto the plane, you fly direct, you land in Vegas. There's a bus on the tarmac that picks you up and buses you straight to the hotel. Same thing when you're going back. You load onto a bus, they bring you right to the airport. You have your own private check-in. You get on your plane, you fly home. It is the most convenient way possible to travel. There's no other way to say it. It is just the most convenient way possible to travel. Fish, what's good, man? Mark, would it make more sense at this point for the Pelicans to keep Brandon Ingram? I don't know, Mark. I think it would depend what the packages and offers for Brandon Ingram would look like. Michael Cook, Tommy, LSU fans were never going to win unless there was an ACC team in the final. Nicole Havard, good morning. Larry Gardner, hey, Becky Thornton, good morning from Texas. Deep in the heart of Texas. Ray Langlois in Austin, all right. Dick Tilley, good morning. Scott Shirley, John Emery's going to look weird wearing 44 this season. Let's see. Daniel Laurent, morning, Matt. By chance, have you heard anything of Jay Johnson possibly going after Blake Lobble, right-hand pitcher at LSU? I have not. Sorry, I can ask, but I have not heard that name. I'm not saying they're not. I just haven't heard that name. Rocky Killing, what's up? Does Stanfield make it to campus? I think so. No, Stanfield's only a 2-year guy. Stanfield's only been at Auburn for 2 years. Now, he might be a draft. Maybe you're asking because he's a draft eligible sophomore. And if that's the case, let me see. Let's see. When was he born? Oh, he was born July 27th. So he is a draft eligible sophomore. Okay. July 27th of 03. So he'll be 21 July 27th. So he is a draft eligible sophomore. Yes, I do think he'll make it to campus. Hard for me to imagine because he'll still have his leverage if he comes back for another year. But he can hit and he can run. We know that. I'm sorry, he can run and he can defend. He's got to show he can hit a little more consistently. So his batting average, 280 as a freshman, 276 this past year. If he comes to LSU, starts 50 games, plays in elite center field, and bats 305. He made himself some money. Seems Florida is pretty good at sustaining. Yeah, man. Kevin O'Sullivan's done an awesome job there for a long time. Dane, I'd rather see A&M win. Aggies treated me well when I was in the Army. They are, man. A&M, they are nice people. I kind of pull for the nice guys. Melody, what's going on? Prods up. Morning, Matt. I'm with you. A&M would be a better winner of the two. Armani said Tennessee. I just like the Aggies, plus a team winning it that beat us by 1 in the conference tournament, better than us beating A&M in a series. Can't make it out of the regionals. I don't really look at any of the head-to-head and the who beat you, who eliminated you. Like, that doesn't make me feel any. They beat you by 1. Like that, I don't think anybody remembers that. Like, do you remember? I mean, LSU beat Florida in the championship series last year. Do you remember what the regular season series looked like? I don't. I'm sure if they played skiing, did they even play? Back in 2017, the final would I don't really consider myself with the head-to-head thing. Mark, will NIL and transfer portal ruin college football for smaller D1 programs? Yes, and I'm okay with that. It's their fault. They're the ones who want to continue playing in the Power 5 level or the power level. You want to do that? That's your fault. This is the path you've chosen. The group of 5 should form its own football league, play each other, and crown their own champion. Tulane will never be LSU. Houston will never be Texas. Central Florida will never be Florida. Their resources will never be the same. So they're never the same. But those schools want to play in the power level because they fancy themselves as something they're not. And so if you want to do that, then you're going to get gutted and you're going to lose money and all the things, but you're bringing it on yourself. So I have no time or tolerance for those programs. I mean, I think it would be very smart to just go start your own league. Just a group of 5, go play group of 5 games, crown a group of 5 champion, a national champion. And that'd be great, but they won't because they fancy themselves as something they're not. I hate A&M and Tennessee, but no way I can pull for Tennessee fans and Tony Vitello. I agree, Randall. Deltona Doug. I'm off topic. Just saw Louisiana as the first state to require 10 commandments to be displayed. Yeah, this is a sports show. You want to go have that conversation, go have that conversation somewhere else. Armani Hayes, are there not a lot of good lefties in the portal since we're getting a lot of righties? I mean, it's rare to find power left-handed arms, but the best one is Zach Root from East Carolina, and LSU's trying to get him. Becky, I hope A&M wins. Don't like Tennessee. They're not friendly at all. Christian, I know you don't put a ton of stock into list rankings metrics. What do you think? They keep giving Bama the benefit of the doubt, even though Nick isn't the coach and they've had massive turnover. So Christian, you're probably talking about the future football power rankings, which ESPN put out, which kind of projects the next 3 years. And it's just so hard for me to look at that because whenever the hardest thing, it's even like true with like the blue chip ratio now that Bud Elliott does, which has been a great metric, but it's so hard to look at any of those things now where you consider like a 3-year recruiting average because you lose so many guys now. Like how can you project? So if you look at for like what you're talking about with ESPN's football power rankings, future football power rankings, looking at the next 3 years, well, you take a rolling average over 3 years of offensive success, defensive success, recruiting rankings, all that sort of stuff. Well, Alabama just lost 40 guys off their roster to the portal. I mean, you turned over with that in the draft, you turned over more than half of your roster in 1 year. You can't look at anything that happened in the last 3 years and say that's an indicator of what's going to happen in the next 3 because of all of the massive turnover. And I'm not just saying that about Bama. One of the things they look at is like your future quarterback ranking projection. Well, if you had rolled back the clock 3 years doing this number, you would have been looking at Walker Howard as an LSU quarterback right now. Well, he hadn't been at LSU in 2 years. So how do you accurately try to project 3 years when so many guys, 9 players from LSU's 2023 signing class have already left? So I think the power ranking projections when you're using recent history and success or failure is just, it's flawed right now. It's so flawed because of the portal. Tim, what's going on? Brian, how do I find the Brando interview? So Timmy B was on Tuesday in the second segment of the show, second and third segments of the show. So if you go to YouTube or podcast, just find Tuesday's date, which would have been the 18th. And it was right there in hour one. Gabrielle, I think I'll just watch golf this weekend. All right, y'all. We appreciate y'all for being here with us. Robert, what's going on? I owe you some cash for your baseball picks this week. You got it, man. Cliff, PSA, always have subject verb agreement. Oh my God. When trolling that on Twitter, there was a guy who, there's a Bama fans have been just polluting my mentions because of all the Bama is burning stuff. And some guy, Wendell Long is his name, said, "Hey Matt, you care to comment about this since you say the mighty has fallen?" And he quote tweeted a guy named Coach Smook, who had something about Keelan Russell at the Elite 11 finals or something like that. And I quote tweeted the guy and was like, because he said, "Since you say, quote, the mighty has fallen." And I replied to him and said, "I would never say that because I believe in subject verb agreement. It's the mighty have fallen. Also, tell your coach friend that loser is only has one O," because he called me this guy called me can't wait for your next delusional rant. DELOOSERNAL rant. They are all so shook. It's hilarious. Like, they don't understand that the Bama is burning stuff. Well, I believe fundamentally that their roster will never look again like it did under Nick Saban. It's not to say they won't be good. It'll just never look the way it did. That's my fundamental point. And so they won't win nearly at the clip they did under Nick. And that's not a bold take or anything like that. I mean, I think everyone agrees. And Nick was the greatest coach ever. He just put together the greatest dynasty, won 6 national titles in 17 seasons. He's the best ever. And so Kalen DeBoer or Jesus, anybody, like nobody is doing what Nick did. You trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball? But the Bama is burning stuff is so fun and theatrical, and they don't understand. Like, I'm doing it because LSU fans love it. I mean, y'all should see the comments and the people, like the very notable people in LSU circles, fans, the state of Louisiana, who have privately reached out to me telling me how much they love the Bama is burning stuff, would floor you. And then similarly, all the Alabama fans melt over it. So I keep doing it. It's just like, it's just kicking the anthill to watch them scurry. Every time I do it, my mentions just flood with Bama fans losing their minds, which only makes me want to keep doing it more. And they just don't get it. Bless their hearts. Okay, let's get going. Jeff, what's going on? Good morning, dude. Amy, 13 seems successes for the portal. Does that mean we recruited the wrong guys? No, I think it's just the culture today in college baseball. You're going to lose guys when they don't play. So you just got to replace them. Just think about like football. You lost 25 in the portal and gained 9. It's just a matter of how you want to build your roster. Richie said, Matt, I know you don't like country music. It's interesting. The Parish jingle is a country vibe. Did you get outvoted? Not outvoted because it wasn't necessarily like a democratic process. It was just Richard, one of our partners. There was a certain vibe that he had recommended, and so Toby workshopped it. And all I care about is that it's an earworm. That's all I care. I just want people to remember it. So I don't care what it sounds like as long as people remember it. And people will remember the Parish jingle. By the way, if you haven't heard it yet, here you go. Let's do it. The Parish Construction Roofing jingle, courtesy of Mr. Toby Tomplay.
Parish Construction and Roofing. At Parish, we've got you covered. From the top of your roof, all the way down. Parish Construction and Roofing.
All right, y'all. As always, need a orthopedic for Brock. You're the best. Rock and Wine, July 27th. We'll see you there. At Tiger Stadium, July 27th for Rock and Wine. And of course, Parrish. Orthopedic Parrish is pinned in the YouTube chat as well. Wait, y'all have been off today. A lot on LSU is live. I'm going to remind you, if you would, please do me a solid. Favorite podcast app, YouTube, go find Locked on LSU, subscribe, download it. I appreciate it greatly. I've been very candid. There are no salaries with Locked On. It is a 100% revenue share, so all the ads that play generate revenue, and the host gets revenue with the network. So it would just be an enormous help if you could help me with. So that'd just be, there's 108 person. I'll be very candid. I just told you about the revenue. So when I was doing Locked on LSU years ago, every week they would put out a chart, right? Like, it was, all right, here's the top performance of the week, each like the NFL, the MLB, NBA, NHL, college. On the college channel, every week it was me, Zach Blackerby from Auburn, and Josh Ford, who was doing Locked on Tennessee at the time. Every week, in whatever order, it was the three of us. And the way the last 2 years, and Zach continued to do an awesome job. I think maybe the guy with Penn State, I'm not positive. Oh my God, that's good. Oh my God, it was on loop. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It was on loop. That's why I need to wear headphones. Sorry. That's why I got to wear my earbud at all times. Anyway, that you wonder why people wear headphones? Do you wonder why people wear headphones? That's why people wear headphones. Because you want it, the premise is you want to be able to hear exactly what your audience is hearing. You want to be able to hear callers, drops, imaging, everything your audience is hearing, you want to be able to hear so you could play to that for your audience. Yeah, very sorry for that. I did not know it was looped. Levels, all that sort of stuff. So you want to create a good viewing and listening experience for your audience, which is why you wear headphones. Wayne. Slick way to pound that jingle into my head. You know, I was looking and I saw the live viewer numbers dropping, and I was like, man, like, I can't believe people are just leaving as I'm talking about this, because I was, anyway. And it wasn't that, it was probably they were just annoyed that I was talking over the jingle for the last 5 minutes. Yeah, there you go, Nicole. Now you can sing it. Now you know the words. Oh, man. Anyway, so just very candidly, I want to win. I want to beat Zach Blackerby, Never take the earpiece. But this isn't radio, Cliff. It's a live stream. No. So anyway, point is, I want to beat Zach. I want the Locked on LSU to be number one podcast, and I'll share this with you. Sent me this yesterday. So I don't know if y'all are going to be able to see this if that comes in, but Locked on LSU this week in sports podcast is up 62 spots to number 13. I'm right behind the Rich Eisen show. I mean, that's pretty good. So we've had a really good start this week. Really good start. I mean, today's the 4th episode, but Busso's going to get fired for this. Oh, man. Anyway, my point is, I want to win. I want to beat I want to beat Zach. I want to be the number one podcast on the channel, and I don't do anything to finish second. I always want to win at everything I do, and so I need your help. Just very candidly, I need you all to go subscribe go to iTunes or Spotify or whatever podcast platform. Go subscribe to Locked on LSU. Go to YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like the episodes, all that sort of stuff. Rate the podcast. That would be a huge help for me. So there it is. Okay. I appreciate y'all. Have an awesome day. Locked on LSU is live, and we'll see you for AFR at 3. Y'all be good.